This topic is heavy media separation, or also called dense media separation. Actually, this concentration process comes under gravity concentration. Actually, forget to discuss it at that time, but today we will discuss it. Since we have covered a lot of concentration process, mostly gravity concentration, which includes stability we have discussed, right? Remember, stability we have discussed that is flow film concentration, right? Spiral, jigging, right? Those all comes under heavy media separation, in gravity concentration. So this is one of the method for doing that is gravity concentration also. So if you remember, the principle behind gravity concentration was what? It depends upon the difference in density of the mineral, right? One mineral will be denser, one mineral will be lighter. They will have a different settling velocity, and one will settle faster, one will settle later. Anyway, or one can be floated, one can be settled down. Floated and can be taken out as a overflow. Okay, very good. So you can see this is a very simplest method. Just imagine the situation. We have a container. You might get a question in the end semester. Listen carefully. So you have a container, right? In that container you are feeding slurry, right? And slurry is having two minerals. One is dense mineral, one is light mineral, right? Of course, that means dense mineral will require more high settling velocity or high settling rate, but light mineral will require less settling velocity, less settling rate. Anyway, but our main point is to separate them into two layers. Dense mineral will form one layer and light mineral will form another layer. That is our main criteria. Of course, it means light mineral will be on the top, dense mineral will remain at the bottom. Of course, this is the situation. But how to separate them? It is very difficult because initially it is a slurry, mixture of all the minerals, light and dense. Okay. So what we are doing? We are just adding a media. That's why the name is heavy media separation. We are just adding a media. And this is very interesting to see condition. The density of media is in between density of dense mineral and light mineral. You understood? Very interesting, right? So that means we have three different things. One is heavy mineral, one is dense mineral, one is light mineral. All have different density. And the interesting part is this is interesting, see, you have to choose such a media whose density will lie in between the density of dense mineral and light mineral. That is the main criteria, that is the main principle. If you add them now, so what will happen? This will be the situation. What is the situation? Just see. This will be what then? Dense mineral, one. This will be your and this will be your. See, just we are forming three different layers. That's all. Just three different layers. And you understood this light mineral is basically what? Technically. Okay? Or if most of the gangue will be there, less valuable mineral will be there, you can call it as tanning also. This is your tanning. And this one will be your what? Valuable mineral. Or in other way I can say that concentrate. Okay. And this is your media. So in dense media separation you have to choose a media whose density lies between the density of heavy mineral and light minerals. And basically light mineral is silica, we know, quartz. Quartz or silica is the main gangue present in many minerals, many ores, whatever you can say. And dense mineral is the main valuable mineral, your concentrate. Suppose basic example I can give you, you take iron ore simply, and in iron ore main gangue is what? Silica. You remember, right? In the iron ore, you take hematite or magnetite, whatever. The main gangue is the silica. And you can check the density of silica, how much? 2.3 to 2.7. 2.1 or 2.3. Can you check? Right now? 2.5. I think 2.3 to 2.7 in that range. Gram per centimeter. Just checking. Density of silica. Or specific gravity of silica, whatever. 2.3 to 2.7. 2.3 to 2.6 in between, I told. Yeah. Anyways, but you can check the density of iron ore. Iron ore means hematite. 5.6 nearly. 5.5 to 5.6. Okay. You can check the density of hematite or Fe2O3. It is nearly 5.4 to 5.5 or 5.6 gram per centimeter cube. Fine, no? So you understood the C. Initially, this dense mineral may be your what? Fe2O3. Fe2O3, and its density you are saying how much? 4.5.46. 5.4.
26.
Okay, fine. And your light mineral may be your quartz or your silica, whatever you say. It is how much?
2.65.
2.65 gram per. See, so initially silica and Fe2 are both together. Both have different density. You choose some media whose density in between that. Maybe, can you check ferrosilicon? How much? Ferrosilicon. What is the density of ferrosilicon? Can you check? I don't remember exactly, but can you check density of ferrosilicon?
2.3 to 7.2.
Sorry?
2.3 to 7.2.
It's so much difference in range. No, too much difference. 2.3 to 5.1. Okay, maybe in between them. Anyway, in between them, you can choose ferrosilicon as well. So finally, that means you have hematite here mostly. You will be having silica here, and you will be having ferrosilicon. If its density is high in between them, right? 3 layers. Now you can separate them easily. So this is all about your dense media separation or heavy media separation. Is it fine? Shall I erase this? Okay, we'll move to next, that is magnetic concentration or magnetic separation. Okay, fine. Magnetic separation. So, in the nature itself, if you see in the nature itself, there are certain minerals which are attracted towards magnet automatically by default. They are attracted towards magnet, and there are certain minerals which will not attracted towards magnet. Maybe they will repel or they will not attract, whatever. So, magnetic separation principle is what? If you have a mixture of mineral which is attract towards magnet and which is not attract towards magnet, both combination is there, you can easily separate them, right? Just by using magnetic forces or magnetic or magnetic line of force, whatever, right? So I can say, like, for example, I have a magnet, right? I have a magnet, for example. So this is a magnet, for example. So I will keep minerals, many minerals. For example, these are malleable minerals. And these are gangs, for example. This is non-magnetic. These are magnetic. So what will happen at the end? So this will get attracted towards this will get attracted towards this will get attracted, and this will also get attracted. And this will just fall down. Very simple. Because at the end, everything is in powder form, if you remember. No? Whatever we are doing after grinding and classification. So everything is in powder form. So some powder will get attracted, some powder will just fall down. Just by bringing a magnet near to it. This is called magnetic separation. So magnetic separation depends upon difference in the magnetic behavior of the minerals. Difference in magnetic behavior means Some minerals are ferromagnetic, some minerals are paramagnetic, some minerals are dimagnetic. These three things, very good. He told, like ferromagnetic, mineral, paramagnetic, and dimagnetic. Dimagnetic, right? So, not attracting to magnet, but these two are attracted only. Magnetic force or magnet, whatever you can say. So base example you can give magnetite. Magnetite is ferromagnetic actually, right? Magnetite is one of the examples which is ferromagnetic. That means it is strongly magnetic. If you bring a magnet to the ferromagnetic material, it will get attracted. So just imagine you are mining magnetite from the earth crust, fine, and you are doing mineral processing. You are doing crushing, you are doing grinding. Finally, you do classification, and finally you end up with powders, right? After classification, you will have powders, and that powder will be having what? Magnetite, Fe3O4 plus silica, and alumina will be there, of course. Some alumina may be there. So what will happen? This fine Fe3O4 will get attracted to the magnet, but the silica, alumina, they will not get attracted. They will just fall down. You understand the point? Very good. Similarly, you take hematite. You can take hematite. Hematite is paramagnetic mostly. Hematite is paramagnetic. Similarly, hematite also has quartz or silica as a gang and Fe2O3. So Fe2O3 will get attracted to magnet and silica or quartz will just fall down. So you can easily separate it just by using magnets, strong magnets. But in industry, what kind of magnets we use? We don't use natural magnets. We use electromagnets, which are very strong and powerful. Very strong and very powerful. Yes. You can write the example. You can write separation of quartz from hematite, separation of quartz from magnetite. These are two examples you can give. Or you also can write separation of chromite. Chromite is also one paramagnetic mineral. Chromite. Can you check the formula of chromite? Iron will be there. Just check. Chromite, wolframite, ilmenite. These are some minerals which are paramagnetic in nature. Ilmenite, wolframite, FeCr4. Very good. Who told? Okay, fine. FeCr, right? It's right. It's chromite is a ore of chromium, but still iron is there, right? So it becomes automatically what? Paramagnetic because of the presence of iron. Listen it carefully. This is very interesting. Chromite is ore of chromium, but iron is also with it. So that's why it becomes paramagnetic in nature. And that means when you are mining chromite ore, silica will also be there. Your quartz will be there. So you can separate the quartz from the chromite ore, main chromite. Similarly, you can check ilmenite. Ilmenite is ore of titanium. Ilmenite. Just check. It is iron titanium oxide. I think FeTiO3. Just check. Ilmenite. Ilmenite is FeTiO3. I remember. FeTiO3. That means it is ore of titanium, but iron is also with titanium. Fine. So it automatically becomes what? Paramagnetic in nature. So you can separate silica from the main ilmenite. FeTiO3, right? Otherwise, titanium is not magnetic. Iron is magnetic. Due to presence of this iron in ilmenite, in this chromite, they become paramagnetic. Similarly, wolframite. Can you check wolframite? Wolframite is ore of tungsten. It is also having iron. Just check. In GATE exam, sometimes they ask this kind of very simple question also. That match the following. They will give some metals and they will ask to join it with their principal ore or principal mineral. So wolframite is an ore of tungsten. Just check what is the formula? FeWO4. Fe is there, no? See again Fe is there in the wolframite. That means wolframite is the main ore of tungsten. But iron is also associated with it. So it becomes paramagnetic again. Right? So you have to remember many minerals are paramagnetic because due to presence of iron in it. Like chromite, which is ore of chromium, wolframite, which is ore of tungsten. Then what I told, other minerals. Ilmenite, which is ore of titanium. So all these minerals, since they have iron, they become paramagnetic. You can simply separate the quartz or silica, which is the measure can, from this ore or mineral. Is it okay? Fine, you understood now? And one example, ferromagnetic is magnetic. Others are mostly paramagnetic. So now, okay, let me give an example. So this is a mineral. No? For example, this is a mineral. This is dimagnetic mineral. And this is a mineral. This is paramagnetic, for example. Now suppose you apply magnetic force. Here also you apply magnetic line of force. Magnetic line of force means you are applying magnetic field actually. In both cases you are applying magnetic field. Anybody remember what will happen if one is not attracted and one is getting attracted? So magnetic line of force means suppose magnetic line of force are like this. Fine. Magnetic line of force are, for example, like this. This is a magnetic line of force. So what will happen? This should go through this mineral, but what will happen? Oh, this is another one. So the situation will be like this. This will go. So this will go here, but these two lines will move like this. These two lines will not. You might study this in physics.
Yes, sir.
This is paramagnetic. So what happens? Whatever magnetic line of force are coming, they will get diverted. They will not get concentrated into the minerals. Why this is happening? Because you understand, most of the minerals they have magnetic domains. Or if you apply very strong magnetic field, the domains will get aligned actually. These domains are very small magnets actually. Domains are nothing but very small magnets present in the entire minerals or whatever material you have. Right? Like suppose you take an iron piece, simple iron piece. It has lot of domains, right? It has lot of, but those domains are already aligned in particular direction. That's why it is magnetic. Already it is aligned, so it is magnetic. But if one domain is in this direction, one domain is in this direction, what will happen? They will cancel each other. You understand my point? Suppose one domain is like this, one domain is like this, for example, this direction, this direction. Still it is oriented in one direction, no problem. But if one is in this direction, one is in this direction, completely opposite, they will cancel each other. So net magnetic force of magnetic field will be zero, kind of thing. You understand? Anyway, so this will be the situation. External magnetic field is here, and you are putting a mineral on it. So this magnetic field should pass through the mineral, but it will not pass through because this is the dimagnetic mineral. That means, in other words, I can say whatever magnetic field we induce in the mineral, that is just opposite to the direction of the applied magnetic field. So that get negated. Otherwise, the same magnetic field you are applying here. For example, you are applying same magnetic field, paramagnetic. So what will happen? They will just pass through the mineral. That means whatever domains will be there, they will be oriented in the same direction as the direction of the applied magnetic field. This is the applied magnetic field direction. So all the domains will arrange themselves in this direction only. So what will happen? Finally, they will all pass through this. They will all pass through this. So it will come out. Same thing will happen for ferromagnetic also. They will all converge. Yeah. Right. These are the things. Okay. So that means this mineral will be what? not attracted, or this will be repelled actually. This mineral will get repelled from the magnetic field. It will try to repel from the magnetic field, but this mineral will get attracted to the magnetic field completely, because line of force are also going through it. Or in a simple word also I can say, suppose just imagine this room is having completely magnetic line of force. From that wall to this wall, magnetic line of force are coming, right? Just imagine this situation now. Lot of magnetic flux are coming. And if you put lot of minerals, like you people are minerals for example, and you are diamagnetic. So what will happen? You will be moved, you will be repelled in that particular region where the magnetic line of force is very less or weak one, or magnetic field intensity is very weak, you will be repelled to that region. But if these minerals are, for example, you minerals are very like paramagnetic or ferromagnetic, you will be attracted towards those line of force or those area where magnetic field intensity is very high. In other way, I can simply say these are the few things. Then, okay, let me give some example. So we can say in industry, we can say we can use high intensity magnetic separator, or we can also use low intensity magnetic separator. Now this is a question from my side. Can you tell me in which case we can use high intensity magnetic separator and in which case we can use low intensity magnetic separator? The one very good, very good. If your mineral is paramagnetic, paramagnetic mineral means it is weakly magnetic, not strongly magnetic. So then in that case you have to use high intensity magnetic separator. That means you need a strong force to attract them, right? But if your mineral is ferromagnetic, already strongly magnetic, in that case you can use what? Low intensity magnetic separator. So what is the advantage of using low intensity magnetic separator? Can you tell me? Yeah, energy or cost. That is more important. Because even if you are doing mineral processing, you have to look into the cost also. Nah? You have to look into cost. If you are using low intensity magnetic separator, you are saving energy, you are saving cost. But if you are using a very strong magnetic field, like high intensity magnetic separator, then you need to pay a lot of money for that. Your mineral processing cost will be very high. So your selling cost will be also very high, right? So in a simple word I can say, low intensity magnetic separator is used if your mineral is ferromagnetic in nature, like magnetite, best example. But if your mineral is paramagnetic, you have to choose high intensity magnetic separator. And this what is that called? This unit process of extraction or principle of extractive metallurgy is also very interesting. Why? You can do roasting. Listen carefully. You can do roasting. How you can do roasting? For example, your initial mineral is hematite. That is Fe2O3, and this is para. Fine. Listen carefully. This is para. And you want to save energy, or you want to save the cost of the mineral processing. Anyhow, you want to use, for example, magnetic separator, and you want to save the cost. So what can be done? You have to use low intensity magnetic separator rather than high intensity magnetic separator. You understand my point? You want to save the energy, you want to save the cost. So you want to use low intensity magnetic separator. But this is paramagnetic, you cannot use. So what can be done? You can do but what kind of roasting? Magnetic roasting. Magnetic roasting. See, if you remember, roasting is a process where we do basically chemical conversion. One chemical form to another chemical form. But this kind of roasting is what? This will change the magnetic behavior. It will become para to ferro. So what can be done? Just use a mild reducing agent. Just use a mild reducing agent. What will happen? The Fe2O3 will become Fe3O4. Simply. Just by using a mild reducing agent. Reducing agent, you understood? That means it will reduce the amount of oxygen. Right? Fe2O3 means lot of oxygen is there. Fe3O4 means less oxygen is there, right? So it will become what? Fe3O4, that is magnetic. And this is what I told, this is ferro, okay? We just simply did magnetic roasting. That means we have changed the magnetic behavior from para to ferro. So now you can use what? For this? Very good, low intensity. Now you can save the cost, you can save the energy. So you understand my point? This is very interesting. So extractive energy is also very interesting. For your clarification, maybe just remember, when we do extraction of iron, so this is the step you need to remember. Then FeO, finally. So this is the sequence you have to remember. Whenever you are reducing the iron, this will be the sequence. What is happening from here to here? We are removing the oxygen slowly. Finally we reach to iron. And just opposite, we are adding oxygen. From right to left, we are adding oxygen. From left to right, we are reducing. You understand now? But this one is not. This is paramagnetic or maybe dimagnetic mostly. Can you check? Woostite is para or di? I think it is di or para. Let's check. I think di. This is para. This is ferro. Woostite. Para. Is authenticate source or what? Just check it. FeO or woostite is para or di? Para. And this is right. Fe is strongly ferromagnetic. See. So is it clear? So in industry we can either choose low intensity magnetic separator or we can choose high intensity magnetic separator, depend upon your starting mineral. Or otherwise you can do what? You can do magnetic roasting simply to save the energy. I think it is clear. Or finally we move to the diagram. Diagram is important. In the exam you need to draw the diagram. Right? So you can write drum. Drum magnetic separator. So drum magnetic separator means what? So drum will be there. A drum will be there. And this drum will rotate, suppose in this direction. Okay. And suppose you have magnets. So these are the magnets. Huh? This is a very strong magnet, for example. So these are magnets. These are magnets. This is your what I told. This is your drum. Fine. This is rotating in this direction. Suppose I have feed end here. So this is your feed. But what will be the feed? Basically, in industry, we choose to do weight magnetic separation. It has what I can say. Efficiency of weight magnetic separation is better than dry magnetic separation. Suppose you do classification. At the end of the classification, you get slurry, very fine particle slurry, right? You can directly use it. It is better actually. But if you dry it and do magnetic separation, the efficiency will go down. So I'll tell you what the reason. This is a feed, so this is slurry. Slurry means I can simply write mag plus non-mag. Or mag will be what you can understood. This will be your and this non-mag will be mostly gang or in other word tallies. No? See, you have to always remember whenever you are doing concentration, because concentration is the last stage of mineral processing, no? So you will end up with two products. One is concentrate, one is thallium. So it is better to represent concentrate and thallium, not gang. Always. Is it fine? So these are the things. You are feeding magnetic plus non-magnetic mineral together, or concentrate plus thallium you are feeding, or you can say valuable mineral and non-valuable minerals you are feeding, right? And this is coming like this. I can do what? I can erase this and I can erase this. Okay, now just see. And you have one. Okay. Spray, and here it is, for example, scrapper. This is scrapper, fine. And these are the minerals coming. Very, very fine minerals. These are the fine minerals coming. See what will happen, just imagine. This is a drum, listen carefully, this is a drum, this drum is rotating like this. And you are feeding the minerals. The minerals with the water and minerals are flowing like this, right? And here you have magnets. This entire drum is not made up of magnet, only the bottom part is made up of magnet, right? And it is rotating. So what will happen? The minerals which are magnetic in nature, they will just stick to the drum, of course. Yes or no? But the minerals which are not attracted to the magnet, they will simply fall down, I told. So most of the minerals which are non-magnetic will fall down. So this will be your very good, or I can say non-magnetic. Is it okay? Why is not moving? Yeah. You see, you understand my point? No? And those magnetic minerals, they will stick to the drum. Okay? So we have put a scraper here. So that means they will attach to the drum and they will move with the drum also. So there is a scraper and there is a sprayer, or you are spraying water. So they will come and touch this one. So they will fall down. So you will get concentrate here. Scraper means you understood, that means it will do scrapping, scratch kind of thing. So this is a scraper and this is suppose rotating, for example. So the minerals which are attached to the drum, they will get removed at this point. They will just fall down. And you are also spraying water. Two things are happening. You are spraying water and scraper is there. Is it fine? Very simple. Shall I tell it again? You understand my point? So this is called drum magnetic separator. You can use a very strong magnet, you can use a very low intensity magnet, whatever you want, you can do. Scrapper means scrubbing, it's kind of scrubbing. For example, this is a drum, the bottom part of the drum. It is rotating like this, continuously. Fine? So I will put a scraper here so that whatever minerals, magnetic minerals have attached, they will just remove. You need to remove it, no? You need to remove it. Otherwise it will continuously go round and round. It will just go over there and it will go round and round. You need to remove them. So that there is a scraper. A plate will be there. It will just scratch it and remove it. And non-magnetic minerals just fall down because they will not attach to the drums. They will simply fall down. So two ways. So these are the concentrate and these are the thallium. So this concentrate means mag. Fine. In our lab we have one belt kind of system, magnetic separator but belt kind of system. So here what is happening? Here drum is rotating, but in belt kind of thing, the belt will rotate. Drum will be that magnetic drum or magnetic roll, whatever you say, that will be stagnant, that will not move. I will show you this. Otherwise, you can say like this. For example, this direction it is moving. For example, so you will be having one. So this is magnetic drum or whatever you can say. And this is your belt. And you are feeding the minerals from here. This is the feed. You are feeding the minerals on the belt. Okay? The minerals will be fed on the belt, and the belt is continuously going like this, and it is coming like this. Again, it is going like continuous. It is going like this and coming like this. Continuously. And you are feeding the minerals here on this. So what will happen? This is magnetic part. This is the roller, whatever you can say, roller or drum, whatever you can say. So the magnetic minerals will get stick at this point, and they will come, and finally they will fall here at this end. So you will get mag here. And what happened to the non-mag? They will not attach. They will directly fall here. This will be your non-mag or tangent. You understand? Very simple. You can draw the diagrams in the exam. If there will be a question of magnetic separator, you can draw both these diagrams. Tellings basically means if you are considering non-mag based tellings, so that no. Basically in industry we choose weight slurry. So what is the advantage of doing weight slurry? Because in weight slurry, the particles are in dispersed form mostly. Listen carefully. If it is a water medium, the particles will be in the dispersed form. But if it is a solid, the particles will be in a bonded form, like physically bonded with one another. So what will happen? Separation efficiency will be less, because suppose there are many layers. Just imagine there are many layers of solids. Top layer is magnetic, bottom layer is magnetic, but in between layer is non-magnetic. So non-magnetic particles will be trapped in the magnetic minerals, and they will come with the concentrate. You understand my point? So that means in the mag fraction also non-mag will be there. And in non-mag fraction also the mag will be there if there are solids. Right? But if it is a slurry, they will be in dispersed form. Individual kind of thing. So it is easy to separate mag and non-mag in slurry form rather than. So that means in other words I can say weight magnetic separation will give you high efficiency. But compared to the dry magnetic separation. Of course. Right. But there is a limitation. What is the limitation? This process may be very expensive, because we are using strong magnets and we have to use lot of electricity. No, we have to use lot of electricity. You can use a superconductor also. To get a strong magnetic field, you need a strong magnet, electromagnet, and electromagnet may be made of what? You can use this like superconductor. Superconductor means what? Resistance is very less. Superconductor means resistance is very less. You need very high purity, that means. The cost of production of that metal will be also very expensive, of course. So this process is very actually expensive, but in industry they are using it for iron ore separation, for magnetic ore separation, ilmenite separation. These are the answers. So thus, you can also say this process we can make countercurrent and co-current. Can you tell me what is the difference between co-current and countercurrent? The same thing. So this is what actually? This is countercurrent. Sorry, co-current. This is co-current. Co-current means mineral is flowing in this direction and this is also rotating in the same direction. So this is co-current. But the point I will change the feed. I will bring the feed in this side. And feed direction will be like this, for example. And this is rotating in opposite to the feed direction. So it becomes countercurrent. That can be also done. You can do co-current magnetic separation, you can do countercurrent. You can write also this. If the drum rotation direction and the flow of mineral direction, the direction is same, then it is co-current. But if the drum rotation direction and flow of mineral direction is just opposite, it is countercurrent. Countercurrent. So these are countercurrent. And co-current means like this, same direction. Okay. So this is all about your magnetic separation. we have completed lot of concentration process, right? Zigging, spiral, tabling. Maybe because we have to make 2 set of questions, so maybe chances that everything will be there in the exam. Either this set you will get some question, this set you may get some question. So everything is compulsory. Next set. So that will be decided by that will be decided by a committee. Protection committee. So okay, can you end up so that I